Some really sad news from late last night. This is singer and actress Marianne Faithfull, who has died at the age of 78. She was once proclaimed the most beautiful woman of her generation. She was a 60s pin-up. She was known for a relationship with Rolling Stones singer Mick Jagger. And a really interesting woman. I remember watching interviews with her, and she's a really interesting woman. But struggled to be taken seriously in terms of her music, certainly in the early years, which I think is quite a common theme, you know, struggling to be taken seriously. Judy, have you ever experienced that?
Well, I mean, being a comedian, I think being a woman as well, there's always that issue of, like, how serious I am. But I've been in situations before, you know, like small comedy clubs, and I've gone in and no one took me seriously. They obviously didn't think I was a comedian. They thought I was the cleaner. Room full of men.
Do you really think they did?
Yeah, they did. They started to move their plates and cups towards me and said, well, should we just leave that here on the side? And I just kind of went along with it and was like, OK. And then I started to do my hair. They still didn't pay no mind. And I just thought to myself, I haven't got time to kind of prove my seriousness or how serious I am in the game. So when they called me on stage and I smashed the show, and then I came off and they were like, you're Judy Love. I was like, yeah, thank you. And then they took me serious. I think sometimes we spend so much time trying to convince people how serious we are or, you know, our worth. And I think sometimes it's not about in that moment. It's just going to be proven in the work that you do, but more importantly about how you feel about yourself.
Well, and there is a classic case of the best revenge is success. So you don't say anything there and then, but you just went out and smashed it. I love that. Wish I'd been a fly on the wall for that.
I know.
Can you imagine? It was like, oh, there would have been...
I know. But you made a really good point, Nadia, when we were talking earlier, in that if we want other people to take us seriously, we have to take ourselves seriously, and sometimes we're guilty of not doing that. And you
well, no, I mean, I never took myself seriously, so I wasn't really wondering whether anybody else was, because it was just my shtick. I would just go in anywhere and I would just deride myself, you know, just to like. I suppose it was fear that anyone might think I wasn't serious. And I remember when we first met, you were always saying to me, you shouldn't do that, Nadia, you know, you really shouldn't do that. And I was thinking, what does she mean? What does she mean? But, you know, over the years and getting, you know, growing in maturity, becoming a mother, good friends like you and Mark, you know, whose brain I just think is brilliant, saying to me all this positive stuff about the way he thinks that I think, and you know, that has really enabled me to take myself seriously. And I think people have taken me more seriously. But I'm not serious all the time. No. I mean, your thing is, you've always said people take you too seriously. Yeah,
well, I mean, people always think that I am super serious, but I suppose because I started off as a journalist and I wanted to be in political journalism, and at that time, because I was, you know, when I was 21, 22, you had to kind of be serious because the fact that you were a woman was against you, the fact that you were young was against you. At that time, the fact that you were Scottish, I wouldn't say it was against you, but, you know, kind of made you not fit in. And so you had to be, you know, Miss Oversize, which was never the way that I felt inside, but you just thought, I've got to try and put on this act, which was all about... Well, how was it for you?
I just think, I think I'm a bit like Nadia. I think where I'd been in 2 pop groups, you're not really there to be taken seriously. You're not there for opinions, I think I've said before. You're kind of just there to be happy and smiley and give everyone a good time.
And gorgeous.
And...
Well, no, really.
To look good, And I think so I never took myself seriously. And I would say I only really started to take myself seriously about in the last year or 2. Really not very long. You know, I'm 36 and I've had my kids when I was 24, and only now am I like... You know, I'd always say, I'm a girl, I'm not a woman. I'd always say, like, oh, you know... And I'd do the apologising thing and I'm just this and I'm just that, whereas I've surrounded myself in a group of women who I work with who kind of force me to take myself seriously and put me in situations where I make decisions and choices. And the same with you guys. I feel like you guys let me do that as well, and you'll pull me up on things and be like, no, why are you saying that about yourself? And
sometimes you remind me of me when I was first in this room. You do, because I was like the same.
But the same age.
And I can see, like, over the last couple of years, I can just see you just sort of landing more. Because do you remember, Kay, right at the beginning, you used to say a lot, didn't you? But I'm not used to giving my opinion. Nobody's ever wanted my opinion.
But that's the thing about you two. You two are feeders. I don't mean feeders like that. I don't need no more feeding. But you lot are feeders, like, you know, empowering feeders. You always, like...
Because it's exciting,
it's
isn't it?
beautiful. And that's the great thing about a show, like, being with different women, different age, different background. You feed. We all feed into each other.
But isn't it a beautiful thing when you see something? Because you do it too. You do it. We all do it in different ways, us older. And to just, when you see a light in another woman, you just think, don't be spitting it out, flame it.
No,
and won't the papers be so annoyed that we've just said how great we think we are? Like,
They'll be asking us if we had a fight after.
But for anyone who thinks that I do take myself too seriously, I can't even get my jumper on the right way. Look.
And if it helps, I don't take you seriously at all.
I literally button up the back.